Uh-huh.
One of my favourite genres in games when growing up as a kid was the 3D character action platformer. Games like Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie and Jak and Daxter. They were always such fun and vibrant worlds that I loved getting lost in, meeting various colourful characters, listening to incredible memorable music themes, and of course collecting shiny trinkets. Then GTA 3 came out and everyone thought, fuck it, let's make that game instead. And just like that, the 3D platformer basically died. It fell out of vogue, well until now. For the last few years, interest in this long forgotten genre has started seeping back into the mainstream, and then BAM! 2017 seems to be a culmination of a bunch of developers striving for one thing: bring back the 3D platformer. So I come to you today to share what I feel are the best in this genre, which are slated for this calendar year. This isn't a countdown video, so none of these are in any particular order, just here are a bunch of games that I'm really looking forward to in 2017 and hope that you are too. We'll start off with the game that's nearest to its release, that being the one and only Yooka-Laylee. Now I've already covered this in mine and Alex's top 10 most anticipated Switch games of 2017, which you should go check out if you haven't done already, so I'll try not to repeat myself too much here, but suffice to say it's the true Banjo 3E we've all been waiting for over 15 years. It's being developed by Playtonic Games, which consists of a bunch of ex-Rareware employees, so the exact same people who made Donkey Kong Country and Banjo-Kazooie. It was initially funded on Kickstarter back in May 2015, which it achieved in the ridiculous time of 38 minutes, and has since smashed further stretch goals, including being available on multiple platforms and a full-on multiplayer mode, which, I'm not gonna lie, looks like it'd be pretty fun. As for the core game itself, well, it'll play like Banjo-Kazooie, obviously. Playing as Yooka the Chameleon and Laylee the Bat, you'll have various abilities at your disposal, like breathing fire, whipping Yooka's tongue, and using Laylee's Sonar Blast. All with the main goal of collecting pages, this game's equivalent of Banjo's Jiggies. There's even minecart sections that are ripped straight out of DKC, so these guys have a history with this stuff and know what works. It's out April the 11th for PC, PS4 and Xbox One, with a Nintendo Switch version coming later in the year. Moving on to another 3D platformer for PC that's been years in the making, It's a Hat in Time from developer Gears for Breakfast. Never heard of them? Well, that's because, like Playtonic, this will be their first game. And speaking of which, also has composer Grant Kirkhope on board. It was originally announced way back in 2012 with the initial release date of the following year. So yeah, it's safe to say that it's since become a much more ambitious project, which also smashed its Kickstarter goal. It's also worth pointing out that A Hat in Time has the most adorable protagonist I've ever seen in a 3D platformer. Hat Kid reminds me so much of Wind Waker's Toon Link, which, yes, Hat Kid is her name. In fact, the levels themselves have this very Nintendo-like quality of polish to them, with the first area, Mafia Town, looking very reminiscent of Super Mario Sunshine's Delfino Plaza. There's also this spooky forest level with a haunted house, which looks like something out of an old Tim Burton film. And recently the devs showed off this awesome looking film studio level, complete with a Wild West inspired train chase. As mentioned earlier, A Hat in Time is currently only slated for PC, but the director has previously shown interest in releasing the game on consoles, just after they finished the game first. Which, given how long it's taken them, I can't say I blame them. Sticking with the PC train is another 3D platformer that's also been in development for more than 5 years, and that's Clive and Wrench from developer Dinosaur Bytes, spelt with a Y because of course it would. Much like Yooka-Laylee, Clive and Wrench was also slated to come out on the Wii U, but with the game garnering a much larger scope from its initial vision, coupled with the Wii U, well, tanking, that version has since been cancelled, with maybe a Switch version on the horizon, maybe? I'll be honest, I'm not completely convinced this game is definitely coming out this year, what with the game basically being made by one guy, and, like me, has been consumed by Zelda Breath of the Wild. Rob, if you're watching this, please take all the time in the world. Your game looks awesome. I've been watching Clive and Wrench for years now, back when it was just called Clive, and it's been amazing watching these characters and worlds grow and improve with every update. The newer animations and movesets look great, like a cross between Banjo-Kazooie and Jak and Daxter, and the worlds themselves look full of life. I love how Clive and Wrench themselves get unique outfits for each time setting, much like Gex 3D or the early Conquer 64 videos. Apparently there are a total of 10 levels to explore, including a hub world, and you can't get much better than naming your Halloween themed level A Grave Mistake, or your snowy dinosaur wasteland Iceratops. I just hope that for people who weren't aware of Clive and Wrench beforehand will definitely keep an eye on this one, because it has some serious potential to rival the other games in this list. Another 3D platformer that will be available on PC is the upcoming Sonic Forces from Sonic Team. So the same developers as the much loved Sonic Colors from 2010 and Sonic Generations from the year later. Oh, and also Sonic Lost World in 2013 because apparently the trailer forgot about that one. Then again, so have most people. Having said that, Sonic Forces looks to return to the Colors and Generations style of gameplay, so expect to be boosting through more flat terrain and jumping through boost rings. Red rings also look to be making a return along with the Wisp power-ups first introduced in Sonic Colors. Classic Sonic is also back from Generations with Sega teasing a third playable character. Some people are speculating it'll mean we'll be getting a third era Sonic, possibly the Dreamcast one, but my money's on it being the Sonic Boom one. What that'll mean from a gameplay perspective is anyone's guess right now, but let's hope it's more interesting than this crap. The actual plot of the game is not fully known right now, but it seems to be somewhat darker than recent entries, with Eggman bringing an end to the world or something. The destruction in the background looks pretty impressive, especially with the trailer showing it running at a smooth 30 frames per second. Sonic Forces is also coming to PS4, Xbox One and even Nintendo Switch, the latter of which will be interesting to see it running on compared to the other more powerful hardware. I wouldn't be surprised if the frame rate gets halved or something, but I'm sure it'll look nice on Nintendo's smaller screen regardless. The game is supposedly out Q4 this year, so probably October or November, so I hope it doesn't get too overshadowed by a certain other platforming mascot that I may touch on in a bit. Moving on to another 3D platforming favourite from the 90s, and one that will also be available on the PS4 is Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy, which is a remake of the original 3 Crash Bandicoot games on PS1, remade from the ground up. I also called out for wanting this back in my top 10 Naughty Dog games video last year, and now here we are. It's being developed by Vicarious Visions, who have recently been responsible for the handheld versions of the Skylanders games, and seeing as that series is currently on ice, it seems to have freed them up to work on what we actually want from the old PlayStation mascots, and not whatever the fuck this is. Vicarious Visions also developed the old Crash Bandicoot games on GBA in the early 2000s, as well as the CTR sequel Crash Nitro Kart in 2003, whose writer Dan Tangai is now the director of the N. Sane Trilogy, so it all comes full circle. Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy is currently slated to come out on the 30th of June this year for the PS4. Right now it's an exclusive, at least that's what it seems to be, but the people over at Sony and Activision are being unsurprisingly tight-lipped on what the business deal between them actually is, so it's possible it could come to PC and maybe some other platforms later next year, but who knows. All I know is that I'm ready to ride that little polar bear again. Figuratively speaking. And moving on to another PS4 exclusive, we have Knack 2. Woo! Knack's back, baby! I mean, can it really be classified as a platformer? I don't know. Either way, I guess I'll go over some details. On the positives, the sequel has a full 2-player co-op mode now, so that's something, I guess. And the game's script is being written by Marianne Krawczyk, but she did previously write The Prince of Persia: Sands of Time and the original God of War trilogy, so Knack 2 might actually be half decent. But that's it, I've got nothing else, so let's move on. I've left the best till last, the cream of the crop, the original platforming mascot, the one that pretty much invented both the 2D and 3D platformer genre. It's Super Mario, with his brand new 3D game, Super Mario Odyssey. It was originally teased in the Switch reveal trailer in October of last year, and then given a full trailer at the Switch presentation in January. And I've got to say, I think the game looks incredible. Odyssey is going back to the 64 and Sunshine style of worlds, meaning that they'll be a lot more open and ripe for exploring, instead of the more recent linear games of 3D Land and 3D World. This time the world you'll be exploring as Mario will be much more inspired by the real world. There's a cool Mexican desert land, lush forest areas with huge trees, and the much discussed city level called New Donk City, which seems to be a hybrid of New York City and the red steel girders of the original Donkey Kong arcade game. So maybe we'll see an appearance from the Big Ape himself, which will be a first for a 3D Mario platformer. As of right now, we know that Bowser will be the main antagonist, big shock, but he's looking rather dapper this time around with his new top hat, as hats seem to be the big emphasis with Mario Odyssey, as Mario can now use his own cap to use as a makeshift double jump. Oh, and his cup is also sentient too, which is a little odd. Hey, Link did it over a decade ago, so I don't see why Mario can't follow suit. There's also this weird lion thing that Mario can mount and charge into enemies, so maybe there'll be more animals to ride, or perhaps we'll see a return of Yoshi, who knows. What we do know is that it'll be produced by Yoshiaki Koizumi, who directed Super Mario Sunshine, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat and the first Mario Galaxy. The actual director of Mario Odyssey is Kento Motakura, who was the character designer for Sunshine, Galaxy and 3D Lands. From what I've been hearing, Super Mario Odyssey is basically completed at this point, but it won't see a release until November because Nintendo need that big holiday title for the Switch. Either way, I'll know I'll be picking this game up on day one. And although I said at the start of the video that this isn't a countdown or ranking video, but if I had to choose one game that I'm looking forward to this year over any other, it would have to be Super Mario Odyssey. Regardless, I hope this video has been of some interest to you if, like me, you're glad to see the return of the 3D character platformer in full swing. But what 3D platformers are you most looking forward to this year? I'm sure that there are others that I've missed off that I'm not aware of, so do let me know in the comments section and I may do a follow-up video at some point in the future. Until then, I've been Dan for Project Falcon Punch, thank you all for watching and I'll see you all next time.